record already. A lot of us have, come from using oils prior to Soul, right? But what was really cool is how we have our health assessment. She has come up with kind of like a personality test, if you will, a personality trait sheet where there's a bunch of different personalities that go with each of our 4 oil blends. And so we did this at Summit. Super, super cool and very powerful. You kind of go through and you're like, yep, that's me, for all 4 of the different categories. And then based on that, you will make your own oil blend. And so she's going to kind of go through some stuff and kind of share that with us. But what I was thinking is, how cool would that be if from here on out, you guys are using this when you're doing your in-person happy hours, or if you're doing a local event, or what I really want to start doing is making a special oil blend for everybody that signs up as a member or a specialist with me. I want to send them their own little concoction. Corinne had sent me my own in the very beginning, and she does the muscle testing, but how cool now that we'll have the tools to kind of like, hey, based on this and what our people are telling us, this is most likely what's going to be their personal oil blend. So take a lot of notes. She is absolutely wonderful. She also does have an online certification, or kind of a 3-tier different thing that you're able to take if you so choose to do that. And we'll have her kind of talk about that a little bit here on the call as well. But we'll just go ahead and get started to respect everybody's time, and we'll save any questions for the end, or if you have questions as we go, just kind of pop them in the chat, and then I'll keep track of those, and we can kind of ask her as we're going, or at the end. So anyways, thank you so much for jumping on with us on a Sunday evening, and I'll let you kind of get started.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. And I'm in my PJs too, so hopefully you guys are in your PJs. So what I did at Summit, and for those of you who weren't there, when I formulated the essential oils for Soul, they have 4 categories. Greg wanted everything to be simple. Because, we come from a background, a practitioner background where we've used, over 600 products, in our arsenal. And that can be overwhelming, not only for a person using them, but also for anybody who, is helping other people. So I created the 4 blends to mirror and to match the 4 categories. So when you're looking and as you've been introduced to Soul, you can already see the green category, the balance category is our staple category. That is for bringing balance and stability. And if you think of a teeter-totter, it's that middle point of the teeter-totter that's going to keep you balanced. So balancing your mood, balancing emotions, balancing hormones, balancing disharmonies within the body. So you think about that as a personality, who just needs balance. You're not really excess or deficient in a lot of things, but you just need to bring balance and harmony. You have a lot of good things that are happening, but maybe you're not having time management, or there's just things falling through the cracks. And if you had more balance. So I'm going to introduce the concept of personalities, and I loved what you said about, introducing these into the happy hours and helping clients, because I see us doing little, DIY stations, but also having personality parties. So, it's just a simple way. And I do work with over 200 essential oils. So for me, I will be honest, anything I could ever need, I really have gotten from these 4 oils. Not just because I formulated them, but they really do accomplish just about anything you could possibly need. So that's just a little bit of background to give you comfort from, what was my methodology, what was, my thinking when I went into the oils. We have these product categories that have a goal. And, the lift category, of course, there's cinnamate in that. So in our lift blend, we have cinnamon. But cinnamon is like giving yourself a hug in a bottle. So it brings comfort and joy. That's what cinnamate does. That's what, the red category is doing for us, is increasing our digestive fire, our passion, our drive, our motivation. So for somebody who needs to light a fire underneath them to get us going. Maybe when we're depressed, we're in a slump, we can't tap into what our passion and desires are, then the lit blend will be one that you want to include into your personality blend. So, we introduced a while back, and I'm not sure if some of you have been following along on the Soul page, the Facebook page, about the whole compass approach. And so if you think about a compass, that's kind of your GPS, your navigation system to tell you, do you need to go north, south, east, or west? And on your journey, whether, it's a business journey, it's a personal health journey, anything that, you're going after, you need a direction. You need to have a goal, you need to go where you're going, know where you're going, and you need to have a direction that you're headed in. So we've broken that down into, the clarify, because it's yellow, it's the category of yellow, and you think of the sun. So it's kind of in that sun position of the compass. And, the yellow category, it's your sun, it's your light, it's your flashlight. It's helping you find your way. So if you feel lost personality-wise and you need help finding your way, or you're on this new journey and you just need to help find your way, use it as your flashlight to help you find that. But you also think of congestion physically, mentally, and emotionally. So if you have physical congestion, the lymphatic system might be sluggish, our blood, the veins might be sluggish. Mentally, we have sluggish thinking, muffled thinking. We're not thinking clearly. We're not able to put two and two together for problem solving and decision making. And then emotionally, you're emotionally stuck. So you're not able to get past, maybe you're stuck in grief or stuck in anger or stuck in a fearful situation, and there's these thoughts that you just can't release. Then that's where we want to use the clarify. In some capacity, you could use straight clarify into your blend, or you can add a little bit or a lot. So again, you're going to assess. I'm giving you kind of descriptions, and then we're going to go and we're going to assess how much of that goes in there. Well, if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm the poster child for clarify, then you're going to have a lot more clarify in your blend. So you might need just a little, but you might need a lot. And then in the East category, we have calm, for calming waters. So you think about calm, soothe, relaxed. So for somebody who's hysteric and like going crazy and anxious and a lot, they need to be calm. Somebody who has an upset stomach, you can hear their stomach rumbling. They have explosive or chronic diarrhea. Diarrhea at the mouth. Somebody who needs to be calmed down physically. There's when you have a little bit of chemistry, we won't go into chemistry too much, but when you have your essential oils, when they're distilled, they have chemical constituents. And through the distillation process, there's a chemical reaction that happens when the steam mixes with that plant matter, and then you cool it and it's condensed. And in certain oils, there's like 4 or 5 oils this happens with, is that through that chemical reaction, there's a chemical component of chemistry called azulene, and that makes the oils blue. So when I formulated Calm, why not have the oil blue? Because we have the ability to use blue oils. So in the Calm, you'll have blue cypress, which is blue, and we have German chamomile, which is blue. So now we have color therapy mixed in with the oils. And so you think about, and azulene is one of your top anti-inflammatory and anti-spasmodic. So anti-inflammatory, inflammation going on in the body, but an inflammatory behavior, an inflammatory response. So if somebody has an outburst, I think we could cure all road rage if we could just put calm and spritz it on the internet or on the interstate, and just calm everybody down. And then in the south position, we have balance. And so balance for green, because green grass, right? It's balance, it's homeostasis. We're using the vital And that's what chlorophyll is what makes plants green, and it keeps it in homeostasis and balance. And so that's kind of in that balance point. So you have the light and you have your grounding to balance you. If you're familiar with traditional Chinese medicine, you kind of have your air and your earth and your water. And then the red category is in your west position, and that would represent fire. But talking about balance for a second, we need to have balance mentally. You're multitasking a lot and you're doing okay at it, but you feel like you could lose control any minute now, like you're teetering. Okay, so that's where you want to use balance. For hormone balancing, weepiness, you oscillate between being real angry and weepy. And we'll see that a lot during grief and during anger. You'll be like, no, I got this, I'm okay. And then you have these viper remarks that come out. That happens also when you're working with people with dementia. And coincidentally, two of your most scientifically proven essential oils for dementia is lavender and frankincense. And both of those are in the balance blend. And then you have some beautiful flowers that bring in harmony between the geranium, the palmarosa, and the Mei Chang also helps you adjust. It helps you adapt. So that's what gives it that little bit of a lemony scent in that oil. And then in the West, we have the red category, the lift. Okay, that's bringing our digestive fire. So cinnamon, I told you, is a hug in a bottle, comfort and joy. You need to feel safe. You need to feel secure. So whether you're in a relationship where you feel bullied or, you are the bullier, it happens when we're having reactions and responses to certain situations. So we think about bringing comfort, safe, secure, stability, hug in a bottle, everything's going to be okay. And that digestive fire, so when you have an uneasy stomach, and look at what's happening on that compass. So I'm visualizing it because I'm talking it to you, but if you have it in front of you, you can see the yellows at the top, but then you have blue and red and then green. And so the green is what's bringing the red and the calm and balance. So you think of, why would I put fire in with calm? It's because you're going into a certain direction. And there's something that the way that I share this with my clients and with my group is directional health. So we're using this compass for directional health because you don't always go north. Sometimes you might, hang a left, and then you got to hang a right, and then you got to hang another left, and then you got to make a U-ey, So that's what happens with our health. We have to go in different directions, but when you're going after a health concern, you might need to go at it. If this is the target, you might have to come at it from a couple different angles. Because when you keep coming at it from one way, it's that old saying, if you keep doing something and the results never change, you should probably rethink your decision there. So we're going at it from a couple different angles. And that's the way I've always approached. I've been helping, I've been in this industry for close to 20 years. And so for me, that's the approach that I've always taken when I work with my clients. I mean, I'm after results. I'm a former, insurance underwriter. I used to handle the claims at the bank. So, we get results. We play investigator until we uncover all of the facts to get results. And like I said, I formulated the oils, but I think now I'm really seeing the benefits that are happening because as I continue this, I'm able to accomplish all of that by using this directional health approach now. So not only do we have 4 blends, there's actually 23 oils and there's 15 different combinations. So you don't have just 4 blends to work with somebody. You actually have 15, but you only need 4 stock bottles. So it's just a different concept because like I said, as having a school and certifying people in aromatherapy, I do work with over 200 oils, but that's overwhelming. How many people own 200 oils? A, it's expensive, and B, you need to use them. You need to use them or else, they do have a shelf life. So how can we simplify that? So we've simplified it in the 4 blends with 15 combination options. Okay, and that would be, you would add lift and calm together. Maybe you're going to add a little bit of clarify for the flashlight with the green, which is the balance, and you're going to throw in some calm. You know, maybe there's sciatica going on, and you look at sciatica, for example. Sciatica is a nerve pain, right? And so which side of the body is it on? Is it on the left or is it on the right? Any left, do it right here, but it might be backwards in your screen, but any left-sided issues are related to female. Any right-sided issues are related to male. If you have issues in the front of your body, then you're having trouble moving forward. And if there's any trouble with anything on the back side, you're not letting something go of the past. So you think of sciatica, say it's on the left side. Okay, you're not letting go of some issue to do with the female. That female could be a friend, it could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be a child, an aunt, whatnot. That's not to say that's the only thing, but I do a lot more with emotional healing too. So I just throw that out because that plays into the emotions. Because why are you not letting something go? What's holding you back? So in the calm category, that has patchouli in it. And patchouli, if I sang, I would sing, but I don't sing, so I'm not going to do that to you. But if I could sing, I would sing that song, Let It Go. I'm sure everybody's heard of that song, Let It Go, from the Frozen movie. Patchouli is the poster oil for Let It Go. You think about constipation, people that are constipated, they're not letting go of the trash that's congesting them. So I will have, the proper way, I might be giving more than you really wanted, Steph. So when you're having constipation, there's a way that the anatomy and physiology of the way that it works. So you really need to sit on the toilet like you're riding a Harley, put the legs back, don't keep them, constricted, because that opens up that flow. But you take your calm and your clarify and you mix it in a little bit of the Solflex AC cream, and then you rub it on your abdomen. And you want to do a clockwise. So you start on the right-hand side in your groin. So if I stand up, so you start like down here, you come up, over, and down, because your colon empties on the left side. So it's a nice little thing when you're working with people and they're constipated. We have, our group is doing the Good Tract cleanse right now. And so that's one tool that we're using for people that are having maybe that reaction or having chronic constipation, is mixing the calm with the clarify in the Solflex cream. And you can do equal parts. Don't get hung up on formulations. If you never know what to do, just do equal parts. You'll never be wrong if you do equal parts. I'll show you a little trick a little bit later of how you can tweak that formulation. But again, you just put it on your stomach that way. The emotional side to that is you want to look at, in a personality wise of that, is somebody who just, they stew. They say the same thing over and over and they just can't let something go. And they keep complaining about the same things, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally. They're not letting something go. So in chamomile, we have 2 chamomiles in the calm, and that's your Roman chamomile and your German chamomile. And Roman chamomile is a true caretaker and nurturer. So that type of personality, somebody who doesn't feel nurtured, they don't feel like they're able to digest a situation, and they really are hung up on, feeling unnurtured. And maybe that's coupled with feeling abandoned. They don't stand up for themselves, because if they do, that person's going to leave them. So that's where you would bring in the lift. So an example of when you would bring in the lift and the calm. So we're nurturing, we're helping to calm down any of those thoughts. And then I do add in clarify, because clarify has spearmint in there, and that spearmint is going to allow you to speak up for yourself. There's also lime in the lift, and that helps with that as well. So now we're combining those. And then if you really need to stand in your power, you can throw in balance. So you can do all 4 of them together or find which area is strongest for you, and then you can add that in. I have my notes, so I'll go over here because sometimes I'll like go off on tangents, so I want to make sure I give you guys what you need.
Jenny had a good question. When do we go from recommending diffusion to topical?
When do we what?
Go from recommending that somebody diffuses the oils to using topically.
So that's a good question. So one of the first things you want to do when you're working with somebody is, what's the purpose? So if you're doing it for somebody who has anxiety in their office, you could do it one of 2 ways. They could create a blend. You could create a blend, even the roll-ons for them to use. Or you can create where they can just put in their diffuser, 2 drops of each and diffuse it at their office. Or maybe it would be better for them to have a hand lotion because you're working on not only anxiety, but maybe they have dry hands. So now you're knocking out 2 stones with 1 blend. So topically, if somebody is constipated, I certainly am going to do a topical application on the abdomen, using those motions, because those motions right underneath your skin is the lymphatic system. And so anything you put on your skin is a form of a topical ingestion. So like if you take garlic and you put it on your wrist, you're going to be tasting garlic. That'll show you anything you put on your skin is getting right into your bloodstream. But you have the lymphatic system, and where that is, you also have receptor sites. And what happens is if you keep putting stuff in the same spot over and over without a break, and I like to have at least a 24-hour break. So say you put on you take your roll-on and you use it as your perfume and you use it again the next day, that's fine. But if you keep putting it on here, those receptor sites they adapt. So there is something in aromatherapy called sensitization. I find that more when you're using them undiluted. I'm not a real big advocate of undilution, just when you understand anatomy and physiology. But there's a time and a place. There's times when I've used them. Like I have used Balance if you get bit on the hand. For somebody having an allergy, an allergic reaction to something, you've got lavender and frankincense, your top 2 antihistamine oils in Balance. You can use that immediately when you need it. But generally, when you're working with people, I like to put it in the Solflex cream. If you have a carrier oil, you could put that in as well. I like to put that into the roll-ons. So you really want to assess what you need. I would say for mental and emotional, I do like the diffusion. Also, if you have a spray, that's a type of diffusion. If you're using it more for a physical aspect, you want it topically. But also when you're looking to multitask, because I'm a multitasker. And, with my clients, instead of giving them 20 remedies, what if I could consolidate and give them 6? A, they're going to stick to it. B, they're not going to complain about it. They're going to be more compliant, and they're going to come back. If I overwhelm them with 20, they're not going to do it. They're going to shove it in a drawer and I'll never hear from them again. That's not helping anybody. So making sure that what you're doing with somebody, it matches what they're willing to commit to and what they're willing to be compliant with. So that's how I decipher when do I diffuse it, or when do I, certainly you're not going to make a bath oil or a bath salt for somebody who needs anxiety at work. So, just look at what is it that they need, what's going on, what else is going on, and how can you make a blend that works on several things, because these oils work on a lot of things at the same time. Does that help?
Yeah, and they're so when I first got them, and Corinne sent me, she had put them into rollers for me. It was when I first had started. And I mean, I was like, I would just put them like in my nose. Like I had my roller bottle and I was like, I'm just going to put them in here. So I love patchouli and like all of that stuff. I know for a lot of people, they're like, oh my goodness, this is really strong or whatever. But another thing that's been so, you don't necessarily think, that's why I love that you're talking about in depth all of this stuff. We are all on here like really geeks about all of this. But you wouldn't necessarily think like Clarify, right, as far as like actually calming down and stuff as well. But I'll tell you what, I'll put that Clarify on my chest and talk about like just bringing down anxiety. You know, it's just, thank you so much, because I did come from, you know, buying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of oils a month that never really did, you know, did anything. So this is so cool.
And the blends, they're already blended for you. And that's a lot of times, you know, because in the school, I'm teaching other people to blend, but even for people doing it at home, I mean, it's nice having it already blended. And I love the lotion bars that we have. So even taking the Clarify lotion bar, that's your chest rub, that's your herbal Vicks. You know, you put it on your chest, you can put it on for sciatica. My thought process, it's really cool. I have one of my old friends, I call her my soul sister, because we think so much alike, but she's from England and I've not seen her in 10 years, and she happened to be in town and I got to have lunch with her the other day. But she's part of the reason I told her every time I use Clarify, I think of her, because there's a part of her infused in there because her son is paraplegic. And when we were creating a blend for him, some of the powerful oils we put in there was spearmint, lemongrass, basil, rosemary, and fennel. So we had a whole blend we used. So I use the Clarify for nerve pain. Also, when you think of anxiety, is a spasming of the nerves. So it's very good for nerve pain. It's also good for phantom pain. So if you ever work with anybody, you know, with that's lost a limb, you apply it to the end of that in the Soulflex cream. It needs to be in a carrier because that part of the skin can be extremely sensitive. But using it as a chest rub, you know, for that sciatica pain too. So you can use them. The Calm comes in a lotion bar, and then you have the Lip Balm in the Balance and the Lift. And cinnamon can be a lip plumper. So if you need to bring some redness to your lips and plumpness, you can do the Lift that way. And the Balance one is going to help, especially if there's cold sores and things like that. So that's a couple different unique ways to use those. Was there any other questions to get to now?
Nope, not yet. Oh, if somebody is allergic to geranium, is there a concern for them using the Balance oil?
Yeah, so there's, in my, the best way I explain it is there's two types of allergies. You have a genetic allergy, meaning you were born with it. When you test your blood, you actually have an allergy to whatever that is, to that plant species, whether it's, geranium or pine or rosemary, you know, whatever. And then you have induced allergies. So for a lot of people, when your gut is not healthy, allergies go back to the gut. So when people are like, I have allergies, my first question is, let's talk poop. You know, how is your poop? Is it coming out? You know, are you doing it 3 times a day? What does it look like? What does it smell like? Because all of that is really important, because if somebody's not pooping, if they're constipated, they're going to have allergies, because your first lines of elimination is through the colon. If toxins can't get through the colon, they're coming through respiratory. That's why we have this excess mucus. Then if it can't come through respiratory, it's coming through the skin, which is your third kidney. It's your largest eliminative organ. So if they're allergic, truly allergic to geranium, I would not use geranium. If they just have an allergy because their gut is not in good health, they need to get their gut healthy. They need to clean out the clutter, get their gut moving, get their bowels moving. And then over time, as they get healthier, I have found that if they don't have a true genetic allergy, that they'll be okay with it. But if they have an allergy, you certainly, I mean, that's a contraindication right off the bat. You want to be careful. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
No. I just unhooked. I have a split screen, and so whenever I'm connected to that, nobody can hear me for some reason. So I was just unhooking that. Yeah, I'm a gut health specialist, so that's like, you know, we definitely talk a lot about that. And so just knowing, like, is it a true allergy? That's super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. So when looking at the oils, I want to kind of just give you some personality traits because are we blending tonight? Is everybody blending their own?
Did you all bring your oils, everybody?
So what I'll do is I'll go through the personality traits and then I'll give you all of how to do it.
Okay.
And then what you guys will do is if you have your stuff, if you guys have a bottle and you have your 4-pack of oils, and then you have a carrier oil, then, or you can make it up. I like to make up the little jars with the Solflex cream. Then you can make it up when we're done. But at least I'll give you everything so you can go ahead and customize something for you. So with the balance, that is going to help transform fear into courage. So it's going to help you maintain balance. It's going to help you defend yourself in a good way, meaning you're standing in your personal power. It helps you stay true to your character, and it's going to be very motivating for you. So, it's bringing you inner balance, harmony, contentment. It's going to help reduce anger. Frankincense is my number one oil for fear. So this one is my favorite for that, but I also like to mix it with calm to calm down the anxiety that comes with fear. So balance is going to help inspire your ability to see the beauty in every situation. Every day we're going to come into drama and trauma, but there's lessons we can take away from that. And in order to stand our ground and stay who we are, stay true to our character, and find the beauty in what is happening in the chaos, balance is an oil to help you do that. So balance, stable, content, vital energy. When somebody has excess, okay, so I'm talking about like this is how we are, but sometimes people get real spastic in certain areas of their life, or they will be so deficient, lethargic. I don't care. I'm so exhausted. I don't even care. So when I look at people, I'm looking like, where are they at? Are they like, okay, they're pretty good. We just need to maintain this balance, or are they freaking out, or are they just lethargic and don't care? So somebody who is overextended, who has a hard time setting boundaries, who's taken advantage of, who is controlling and demanding, just because they feel like everybody's invading them. They have this desire to flee. That's an excess personality. That's an excess balance personality. And then somebody who's deficient, they're going to be inflexible, rigid, stubborn. They're going to have these persistent thoughts. They're going to have a hard time moving forward. So ailments on the front of the body. And so what we want to do is we want to bring that into balance. So if there's a lot going on, we're going to use just a little bit of balance. But when there's a little bit and they're deficient, we're going to use more balance. Okay, that's one of your first nuggets into formulating. And then the calm category, that's going to help reduce anger, nervousness, and that's going to turn that into reassurance and confidence. It's going to help you align your head, your heart, and your gut. When you make decisions and you're forced to make a decision and you're like, something just doesn't feel right, that decision's not really going to be the best decision. So we strive to have our head, our heart, and our gut in alignment. And so that's where calm can help us do that. So it's helping us to feel protected. It's encouraging to us. We're going to feel soothed, relaxed, nourished, grounded, in control, and we are composed. So, you are able to handle a situation and maintain your composure. When there's excess going on, there's anxiety, nervousness, some type of spasming. You even think leg spasms, muscle spasms. They're intimidating. They're over analytical, perfectionist. There's just too many options going on. They're frustrated. And then on the deficient side, they're malnourished. So they're not getting what they need either from their food or from a relationship. There's a lot of mental chatter that's going on. They're worried, they're depressed. So we hold worry in the gut. So fear, you think of balance. Worry is going to be the blue category, which is the calm. Feeling smothered. So we know that Ravensar, which is in the lift, is good for that, and spearmint, which is in the clarify, helps with that. So a good combination would be the lift, the clarify, and the calm for somebody who feels smothered, they feel suppressed, they feel pushed down, like they can't reach their potential. And so we look at on that spectrum, where are they? If they're in an excess, we're going to add in a little bit of calm just to balance that out. We're going to feed those qualities to balance it out a little bit. But if they're deficient, then we're going to add a little bit more in for that. Your clarify, so the yellow, that's going to convert confusion, indecisiveness, and anger into meaningful action and productivity. So we need to be alert, focus, concentrate. We need to be productive. So we can sit here and stew and do all of these things that do not create action. They take up your time. So for people that have poor time management, adding in clarify is going to be really good. It also is very good for adrenal support, thyroid support. So adrenal is what gives us energy and the ability to go. Thyroid is kind of it helps with metabolism, but it's also helping you speak up for yourself. So for those not speaking up for themselves, you want to think clarify. I use this blend also with mutism. So any form of speech impediments, I also use it when people are going through speech therapy after having a stroke. So you think of physical, mental, and emotional, you're always infusing that together. So harmony, clear thinking, focus, decisive, open, there's movement. You're able to move freely. But when there's excess and somebody is like really, really hyper, jittery, they have racing thoughts, you can look at them and go, oh my gosh, they're so much an adrenal person right now, have high blood pressure, and their words, they just have no filter. Like sometimes it comes out and you're like, ooh, that should have had a filter on it. So that's the excess side. The deficient side, somebody's going to be sluggish or stagnant. They're going to be confused. They're going to have miscommunication. They're going to have low blood sugar, not speaking up for themselves. So look at where they are on that spectrum. If they're in excess, you're going to add a tiny bit in. But if they're deficient, you're going to add more of that one in, because the goal is to bring them back into balance. We're connecting with where that is and then bringing that into balance. And then your lift, which is the red category, that's going to shift you feeling overwhelmed, defeated, grief. This is my number one grief oil, the grief blend, and I like to combine it with balance for grief. Cinnamon, you have some fruits in there, the orange, the lime, the grapefruit, with Ravensara, and Ravensara is one of your top grief oils. But so is frankincense and lavender and geranium. So it's a really nice combination to have the lift with the balance for grief. So having the feeling overwhelmed, defeated, and grief, and you want to convert that into being optimistic, joy, and having the will to survive. So maybe you come across somebody who just feels defeated. They're really sick and they're like, oh no, you're my last straw. And we need to put that fire back in them to motivate that passion and that drive. That's the lift. So bringing that into harmony, they're going to be energized, be able to handle whatever's thrown their way with confidence. They're going to feel nurtured, comforted, safe, secure, be jubilant in their personality. A hyper lift personality is going to have high blood sugar. They're going to be bitter. They're going to have resentment. They're going to be a bully. They're going to have outbursts all the time. It's always about them. They're going to be weepy. at times, and they're just going to have explosive feelings. But somebody who's deficient, where we need to add more of the lift in, they're going to be unproductive, have low blood sugar, be sad, depressed, low self-esteem, suppressed feelings. And the thing to know about addictions and anxiety is there's a blood sugar connection there. So you think of paranoia and OCD, and any type of addiction, there's a blood sugar imbalance. That's why I'm real big with the addiction protocols to add in the Soul Complete with the Soul Megas, because the proteins and the fats, that's what you need to balance that out. So I have some clients I'm working with just eat the Soul Megas like it's candy. Just chew it up, eat it like candy, because we've got to get those fats in them. And we do a fat therapy all day long. And so they're, eating a Soul Mega like every 2 hours. And then they'll have their shake where they're able to have that as well. So that is that tells you about the personalities kind of in a nutshell. Hey. So that gives you background of the personalities about the oils. So now when you're looking and smelling your 4 blends, and if you have them with you, grab one and smell it. Because what you want to do is you want to connect with that. I look at all of the oils like they're people. They all have a personality. And when you match it to a personality and you're working with somebody, you can automatically think about, not only are you putting together the health assessment with the herbal stuff, but now you're going to know which oils they need, whether they're going to get the 4-pack and you're going to give them a recipe to diffuse it, or you're going to make something up for them. So it's just a different way to think about those. And again, you can do them in different combinations. So a couple ways to teach you how to formulate. So what is your purpose? What is the issue at hand? And which oil fits that the most? And so what you're going to do is, the 4 oils have 4 different things that they do. So when you're working with the client, what's the purpose? Pick the top 3. If you could, and I ask my clients, if you could work on 3 things, what would those 3 things be? Make note of that. And then you're going to use your Scentellect. So I call it your Scentellect. And so I've been talking to you about the essential oil blends and educating you and enhancing your intellect on how to connect with them differently. So use your Scentellect to say, okay, Clarify hits their number 1, Calm hits their number 2, and Balance hits their number 3. So there's your formula. And then you could do the 3-2-1 blending rule, which is 3 drops of the one that came in first place, and 2 drops of the one that came in second place, and 1 drop of the one that came in third place. Use that as a ratio, and you can double that or triple that to get the desired number of drops that you need to create a blend. The other thing that I like to do is, you guys are probably all familiar with the product selector, so the health assessment. So when somebody answers those questions, have them take a screenshot and send it to you. And what I do is I look at their top 10. So on their top 10, I say, okay, these products came up. What category do those products connect with? How many green, how many red, how many blue, and how many yellow? And then I rank them. So maybe there was for simplicity's sake, there was 4 yellow, and there was 3 red, and 2 green, and 1 blue. So then I would do the 4-3-2-1. 4 drops of what came in first place, 3 drops what came in second place, 2 drops what came in third place, and 1 drop what came in fourth place. Does that make sense? So that gives you just a guideline. It gives you a formulation guideline when you're like, how many drops do I do? And if that gets too crazy, don't worry about it. It'll come to you over time. Just do equal parts. There's nothing wrong with doing equal parts with what you need that's on there. And I know we're getting close to time. So when you go to blend, you're looking at, and Steph, you should get the slides, and then in the workbook, there's that page, so you can screenshot it and send it to them, or I can even email it to you or send it to you on the messenger if you want to get that page out. And everybody, there is a quadrant. There's 4 quadrants to a page where you're going to answer questions. And it's just like, do you have this? Do you have that? And you answer them, and then you're looking at which category shows up the most. And then for fun, you can do you can do that assessment and match it to your selector and see how they match up and see how honest you are. Because this is only going to work if you're honest with yourself. Because when you do that, then you're going to create you a blend using a variation in different proportions of each of the 4 oils to create you a custom blend, the power of what that blend's going to do. And if you're used to working with a lot of oils, it's a crazy concept to say, okay, these 4 blends are going to do that. They will, because they're working on a goal and a target from different directions, and the variations of the amounts that you're putting in them is what's fueling its power to go after the goal that you're working on for you or for your client. So I'll open it up for questions, or if there's anything else that maybe you want me to touch on, that would be helpful.
Yeah, all of this is so awesome. I do know, like I told you, there's a number of us that definitely want to take your certification. If there's any way that you could send me that over just in Messenger or email, because I filled my workbook out at Summit, and then I'm wondering if like Chandler maybe would put that on the website as well, just because it's such a powerful tool. I love how you say to look at their top 10 recommendations and match it up that way, but I also love the personality test that you put with it as well.
You know, and I can just post that into the business page, the Soul business page, and then that way everybody can just pull it from there.
Okay, awesome. I think we could all listen to you for like hours and hours and hours.
Aw. Well, I do have, so what I've offered is I do have a certification school that's NAHA approved. And so I have 3 levels. The first one is holistic. That's 2 classes. And then level 2 has an additional 5 classes, and that earns you a professional certification. And then level 3 is 4 additional classes, which gets you a certified clinical aromatherapist designation. And so what I'm offering through the end of May is $100 off a class. And then you'll just use the code SOUL 2018 when you go to checkout. So if you go to jensense.com, you can click on courses and you'll be able to see course description and what's in there. For anybody who is a nurse or who has a college credit for anatomy and physiology, just sends me their certificate, and then they can opt out of in level 1, you have introduction, ANP1. In level 2, one of the 5 classes is ANP2. But nurses, massage therapists, they already have that. So they can opt out of that one.
Super cool. I love that. Okay. Sorry. This is what happens every Sunday night.
That's really important. That's okay.
Well, it's like, I was gonna go to bed and say hi. Say hi. Okay, please stop for a minute. Does anybody else have any questions? If you guys want to just go ahead and unmute.
And I have to say hi to Lisa because she was at my table.
Yes, Lisa. Making,
hi, Jen.
Hey.
Thanks for coming on and teaching us all this good stuff. I remember most of it.
Good. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all like super into this. So this is.
Hey, AJ.
Okay, I think that was putting oils. Oh, you didn't recommend putting oils on the same places, but how does that work for the lip balm? You just mean like.
Well, those are in a carrier, yeah. So I'm talking about like if you're using the same blend over and over and over, like here forever and ever and ever. So we want to be careful using stray oils. These oils, they're blended in a very good ratio in the carrier with the shea butter and everything else. So that as an emulsifier breaks it down, and the absorption rate is going to be different than if it's in a higher concentration. So they did make sure the concentration and proportions were right for absorption. That was a good question.
And I know the answer to this. Could you just clarify on ingesting oils?
Oh, okay. I am not a real big advocate for ingestion for a few reasons. And I don't know a lot of you guys' backgrounds, so I just can only share what I know and how I use them. When you understand anatomy and physiology, you know, you have your skin, you have your lymph, you have receptor sites. When you go in internally, you have linings and membranes. And when you're ingesting them, they are chemical constituents. So they do have a chemistry to them. And more is not better, because your oils are going to be over 100 times more potent in the concentration than they are in an herb form. So like you wouldn't take the calm oil, and if somebody said, go have some chamomile tea and pour the whole bottle into a glass and add water, your oil and water doesn't mix. You have to have some form of a emulsifier that's in there. So what is happening, and I am the vice president and a director, and I've been with the National Association of Holistic Aromatherapy for a long time. And we're an organization that brings awareness. We bring education. We share what we know. We bring a platform where we can bring in educators and educate you. We can't tell you what to do. We can just say, this is how it is, and this is why. But what I'm seeing as a practitioner and the comments that we get as a board, I've never seen as many young women right now in kidney failure and liver failure from drinking an excessive amount of oil, because your kidneys, your liver has to process that, and then your kidneys have to excrete that out. So I'm not opposed to ingestion as long as you're trained and educated, because you have to know somebody's skin integrity. You need to know their health history. So do they have high blood pressure? Do they have a blood condition? Do they have blood thinning issues? Because if so, you have to be careful with lift, because cinnamon is a blood thinner, as is the cinnamon in cinnamate even. You know, if they have some serious health conditions. I had a mom who was reaching out, and this was probably, I've had two extremely devastating, traumatic calls that I was on the other end of. And one was from a mom who was drinking fennel essential oil, and because it increased breast milk. And it is a galactagogue, but there's a right way to do it. So she was pouring it in water and drinking it, and then her 2-week-old baby was having seizures and had neurological damage. And now she's just, it's a traumatic situation for everybody who's involved. You know, the other was with somebody using ingestion and undiluted oils on a horse. And I had to be on the other line with a lady whose horse died in her arms, and that was just devastating to hear. So there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. It's nothing to be scared about, but you know, we have to know who you're working with. Just because there's a recipe that says go do this doesn't mean go do that. You know, you have to apply your Centelect, you have to apply your knowledge, your education, and your training, and know when to do that. So, you know, an example of when I've ingested them is I don't do well on the West Coast. It's really dry. I always get laryngitis. You know, I was emceeing one of the NAHA conferences when we were in Seattle, and it was just really bad. So I take honey, and I take a tablespoon of honey, and I emulsified 1 drop of Balance, and I stirred it up and made sure it was mixed to get that in there to coat my throat. So that was kind of my liquid cough drop to help with that, because frankincense is really antispasmodic as well and was very soothing for that situation. I don't do that all the time. You use it when you need to, but you have to use care and you have to be responsible. You know, people say drink responsibly. I say aromatherapy responsibly. You know what you're doing and know who you're working with, because ingestion is a form of practice in medicine without a license. And, you know, the FDA dietitians right now are really after that. And so it's to keep you safe and keep you out of jail, because believe it or not, people have gone to jail for making a recommendation, healthcare practitioners for making a recommendation that was deemed a practice in medicine without a license. So I don't go to jail for anybody. You need to be protected. You need to know what you're doing and how to do it so you're protected. It's all about your protection and the client's protection.
And that's the biggest reason for me bringing up, because I know a lot of people have used other oils from other companies, and they're really quick to say, oh yeah, just throw some of that in your water, or, you know, oh yeah, just go ahead and put that on your baby. And here's the problem, is they're not educated whatsoever in aromatherapy. And they're just making recommendations that, excuse me, no thank you, that it's causing a lot of harm. And then so Jenny says, what about the post going around? So obviously a lot of oils are unsafe for like cats. A lot of cats cannot handle diffused oils. With our oils, is that the same?
That's nothing new. It's, you know, it's something that animals are a lot more sensitive. So in the Soul Experiences page, if you go to the files, in the files, there's a document in there that I created, an A to Z reference guide. And in there, I give some guidelines, some dilution ratios and a blending guideline. So the normal ratio that you would use in blending is a 2% dilution. Like if you have a neck pain and, you know, you have a heavy neck pain or a specific area, a local area that you're working on, you could do a 4% if needed. But for elderly, for children, for teenagers, you want to cut that in half, because of the way it's metabolized in the body and the effects that you're getting. Animals are a lot more sensitive. So dogs and horses you would help the same way you would help a dog, just because they're 2 to 3 times the size, their digestive system is the same. You still have to help them. And so I do anywhere from a 1/4 to a 1/2 dilution. And then for cats, they are more sensitive because their urinary system, their weakest organs are urinary and lungs. So, and then when you look at the circadian rhythm, you know, your lungs are 3 to 5 a.m. and urinary is 3 to 5 p.m. So it's your balancing organs on the circadian rhythm. So with animals, and specifically with cats, they can't metabolize it, and it does create toxicity. And the really devastating thing about cats is when they go down fast and hard. So if you diffuse it, so I do always recommend diffusing it when you have animals, because I recently lost my dog, so we are dogless right now. I lost two of my babies in the past year, but we have 2 cats. And they love my aromatherapy. They love to blend, but I leave the door open. I'm lucky now to have an office that I leave the door open. It's well ventilated, and it's a very small amount. So if I want to do all 4 oils, I will do 1 drop of each of the oils. I make sure they're ventilated. Usually the animals will get up and leave when they had too much, but if there's emotional stuff going on, because you know our animals mimic us and they're being very clingy to you, you're going to have to be responsible to take them out or to turn it off and to get them some air. So if they were to have over toxicity, they're going to start foaming, have a little bit of foam at the mouth, a lot of wet coming out. Their tongues may hang out. They're going to be lethargic. They're going to kind of go to one side. That's not good. And you've got to really, really get on it as fast as you can. And so what I do in situations like that, I did have a cat that got into a toxic substance, not oils, but something else. And I couldn't believe I saved her. But I took the Amitoxin, you open it up. And what I do is I'm just lick my finger and I put it in the Amitoxin. I'm getting it on the tongue of the cat. And then I made up some Vital, and I just soaked the feet in Vital. It's hydration. And so I just kept her hydrated. There's a liquid form of an enzyme that I use that I just kept spraying her and kept her hydrated through that whole process. And I got her through the night and was able to get her to the vet the next day and get some fluids in her. And we were able to save, I was not able to save one cat, but I was able to save another one that way. And my dog, Lily, she was my 100-pound German Shepherd that I call my dumb blonde, but she was really a sweet girl. And she was on her 6th life, I think, when she passed, but she ate a sago palm seed. And I was able to do that with her as well. And I saved her, and the vets in town couldn't believe it. So I knew what to do and how to do it. A lot of people don't know, but with a cat, it is very serious. So you can diffuse them. It's okay. Just a well-ventilated area, small dilution, very short frequency. Those are the keys that you have to do. I do not use oils ever undiluted on animals. I've had to hear story after story of animals dying, and I just, that's the soft spot with me for that. So always and I mix the 4 oils together. That's my flea and tick prevention. So I do put it in a spray, and I do take my hands and kind of comb back like this and spray it and massage it in. I use that for my cats. I spray on the thing, but remember, it's very diluted. So in a 2-ounce bottle, I'm talking 4 to 5 total drops. Very small dilution ratio.
That's awesome to know, because I kind of feel bad sometimes because I don't give my dog flea and tick because I'm not a medicine person, right? So that's awesome.
I have a book. I have an aromatherapy book for pets where I talk about dogs, cats, horses, and llamas. With birds, you absolutely have to be careful. Guinea pigs, you have to be. They're a little bit more sensitive than cats, so you would help them as you would cats. But birds, iguanas, fish, you have to cover. You have to be very, very careful for that. So. But I do have that, the recipe guide for pets for anybody. And then rabbits, for rabbits, you would help a rabbit the same way you would help a cat. And Kimberly Bourne, if you guys ever follow her on the page, you got to see her rabbit. Oh my gosh.
Lisa's got
a huge rabbit, but it's cute.
Okay. So what about sorry, you guys, I know we're getting late now. Now I'm like, what about this? What about heartworm?
For heartworm, I do a combination of the herbs. So my animals, I don't have human kids, so my animals are my kids. So I have a canister, and there's a packet of Vital that goes in there. Verdazymes goes in there. Probiotic goes in there. The Soul Vital, the ProBio, the Verdazymes, and the Adaptable all go in there, and then I just throw in the soft gel into their food. But I make a canister, and I am the mom that sits there and opens up every capsule into the canister, because when I travel, I do travel quite a bit. I have to make sure my husband will do it when I'm out. He won't sit there and open up all of them. And then I put a scooper in there, and that's what they go into their food. And in the book, I do have a heartworm recipe, but that was written before Soul. So with the Soul products, those are the ones that I use now. And I put their kibble or whatever I'm making them. I'll do a little bit of kibble, and then I'll put the powder on, and I'll drizzle a little bit of olive oil just to make a gravy. And then I make their food, so then I plop on whatever I've made them, and that's what they get.
That's awesome. Thank you for
This artwork.
They like to do the lives and stuff. He's one of our best soul reps. You should see him do his little packet of Vital. It's pretty cute.
Awesome. Way to go.
Okay, I could literally ask a bazillion questions, but I will get this recording. I'll put the recording in the team page, and I'll send it to you, Jen, as well. And then even
Okay.
if you wanted to post it on experiences or whatever, obviously, you know, the more people, the better. And thank you so much for also sharing that discount with us all. I know, like I said, a number of us are for sure going to do that. It's just so powerful, and the more we know, right, the better. So thank you so much for jumping on a Sunday.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all of you for jumping on tonight. And thank you for AJ's silly face.
The entertainment.
Yeah. He's like, here I am. And now it's 9:20, so I'm going to sneak down here. Okay, that's enough. But anyways, yes, I will send the recording once it uploads, probably in the morning. And I really, really appreciate your time on.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for having me. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys. You too.